Back home from SEC Media Days here on Orange Bloods Live. So pumped to be here with you guys. Thanks so much to the Man Eye Institute for sponsoring this show here today. We'll have more to talk about with Man Eye Institute here shortly. But first, Cody, we're going to talk about it was funny, one of the main headlines coming out of SEC Media Days as we begin to now we're on our march toward the season, right? We're less than 2 weeks out from fall camp getting underway, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. But one of the talking points at SEC Media Days was I kept hearing it, and I almost got to the point where I was repeating it until I thought about it, where people were saying Texas only has 4 returning starters on defense.
You literally said that to me on a show, and I just didn't even.
Which is like, and I'm generally not somebody that would just start parroting something that somebody else had said or something that I'd heard. But it was like a reporter had asked, I'm like, I spend 30 hours a week charting this whole team and doing the deep dig and knowing more about trying to know more about the personnel here on the show than anybody else in the market. And it's something I should have thought of. And you and I talked about it, and we're like, man, that's what people are saying is not right. It's probably more like 6 to 7 returning starters, depending on how you kind of classify Derek Williams and how you classify Leonga Lafau.
And Ethan Burke.
What?
And Ethan Burke to a certain extent.
Well, I mean, let's just go. So, I mean, I guess by now we can consider Colin Simmons a returning starter, even though he wasn't a starter to start the season, right?
Him and Trey Moore together.
You can argue that both those guys are returning starters. You know that Anhill's a returning starter. Ethan Burke is certainly a returning starter. I mean, I guess technically maybe he's not because he's not because he platooned with Sorrell, but he played on both sides.
But I think if you count Trey Moore, you got to count Ethan Burke.
Okay, well,
right? Isn't that, I mean, the roles are kind of similar. It was like
Trey Moore, as far as his snaps on defense last year, 440. Ethan Burke in the regular season, 243. So,
all right, maybe that's a different level.
So maybe we don't count Burke as a starter. So what are we at? We're at so definitely. So Anhill we know for 1. Manny Muhammad we know for 1. Michael Taft, that's 3.
Colin Simmons, Trey Moore.
You have to consider Colin Simmons and Trey Moore as 4 and 5, and then do you consider Derek Williams? Do you consider Leonga Lafau? Do you consider Burke? It's like you get it's at least 5. It could be as many as 8.
How many snaps? You have the snaps up. How many snaps did Jelani have last year?
Oh, very few. Well, more than he played. Can this be right? 329 snaps in the regular season?
Yeah. Remember they were moving because once the injuries happened on the back end, he was getting moved all over.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It feels wild to me that he played more snaps than Leonga Lafau. 321 for.
So that's the point. That's the whole purpose. So that's 8 names we just listed off that are like we're conversing over if it was should they be considered a returning starter, whereas like the national thought is, they only got 4 returning starters. It's like, well, even if it's just those 4 are pretty high end, and Taft, Muhammad, Anthony Hill, and Simmons as the ones that people are kind of talking about.
Right. And so basically, one of the things that we come away from is we get a chance to, both on the podium and just off the podium. It's a cool thing about these media days. And thanks, of course, to Thomas and some of the sports information department staff that was able to make some of these players available to us, maybe just to kind of, just not really caring like they generally care whenever we want to go up and talk to them and stuff. It's kind of it's one of the reasons why we're there, and we can do it under their watchful eye. And Michael Taft had a couple things to say about dudes he thought could surprise. I got a chance to talk to Anthony Hill about some guys that he thought could surprise this year. So I'll just tell you right off the bat some of the names that Anthony Hill brought up to me. The first one, he said, guys who the fans might not know about too much that could surprise. And he said three guys on defense. He said Brad Spence, the linebacker transfer out of Arkansas. He said Colton Vasek, who everybody knows very well, former blue chip recruit out of Westlake, who was injured at the end of last season, did not take part in spring ball, plays defensive end. And he also mentioned Zena Yamuzulo, who plays that buck end, basically behind Colin Simmons, right? And depending on how Trey Moore plays this year, maybe behind Trey Moore too. It feels like he's going to be more of a specialty sort of outside linebacker, Sam kind of role, or the third linebacker type of role. But then that buck end half the time it looks like an outside linebacker anyway. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting that those guys got brought up. I think that Spence for sure is going to play a lot for me personally. I've always been of the opinion, and people, around the program have been of the same opinion as I have been. And that's, look, he was really good at Arkansas. He was going back to Arkansas. He was going to be their frontline guy. He's going to be a starter. You don't transfer away from being a starter in the SEC to go be a backup somewhere else. It feels like his role is going to be fairly well defined, and he's a talented guy. Colton Vasek, that's just interesting to me, and it's interesting to hear Ant Hill say it because he's going to have a little bit of a dogfight there with Lance Jackson. That defensive end behind Ethan Burke will step up into that role that Barron Sorrell played last season. And then with Zena Yamuzulo, I just wonder how much he's going to even be able to play. You have Colin Simmons playing there. You need to play him as much as possible, or as much as where he's effective, right? You don't want to overplay the guy to where he can't be Colin Simmons who you need him to be on the money downs. But I don't know if Zena Yamuzulo is a guy you're going to want to put in there on those first and second downs to be able to hold up against the run in a way that you might not expect Colin Simmons to. It's like their skill sets. No one has the skill set of Colin Simmons, but those two skill sets do feel a bit redundant. So I'm not sure how often he'll be able to get on the field. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on those guys before you talk about guys that Michael Taft mentioned?
I would love to hopefully see Zena, get, I don't know, 60 snaps in week 2, 3, and 4. When they're playing the Sam Houstons, the UTEPs of the world. I would love to see him get 60, 65 snaps in there, playing in that big role and giving Colin Simmons, obviously some real air once the games are a little bit out of hand. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Colton Vasek side of things, that one to me just reiterates the fact that Hill's been there for 2 years. He's got a connection with Vasek, obviously, probably. And that Vasek is kind of that bottleneck for, even though people are going to say, Lance Jackson, Justice Terry, like we know they're dogs, but they're also true freshmen and they're 5 stars. But Vasek's going to be that bottleneck. They still have to get through Vasek, who's been in the program for obviously 3 years now. So I think that's still a big deal. And then the Brad Spence thing, my first thought when you said Brad Spence was just like, it feels like it's been a slow drumbeat. Ever since he signed, it was kind of like, meh, it's a good signing. It's fine. 4.5 sacks, 6 TFLs. And then it's been like every time we've heard someone talk, whether it's Sark or a different coach or a player or it's a report or something, it's like a little more about Spence, a little more about Spence. And it could be a real game changer in that linebacker room. The two that Michael Taft brought up.
Before you talk about Michael Taft, we have to give some love to our great sponsor, of course, the Man Eye Institute.
You've got the latest phone, smart TV, and Bluetooth speaker that can be heard across the block party. So why are your eyes stuck in the past? Introducing the next level LASIK exclusively at Man Eye Institute, the only place in the state of Texas with one of just 3 in the entire country offering this revolutionary Wave Light Plus technology. This isn't your parents' LASIK. Next level LASIK creates a digital twin of your eye, giving your surgeon unmatched precision and personalization for sharper, more tailored results. Not all LASIK is created equal, and this LASIK is in a league of its own. And right now, they're celebrating freedom and clear vision with a special LASIK offer this July, plus affordable payment options and guaranteed approval financing. Do you think you are already seeing your best with glasses or contacts? Think again. You don't got perfect vision. Let's be real. You don't know what you don't know. So come on in for a 100% free screening and find out if you're a candidate for next level LASIK. Call 844-WOW-2020 or visit maneye.com. That's 844-WOW-2020 or maneye.com.
And of course, you guys got to get the Alpha Seasoning. AlphaSeasoning.com. It's Cody and I's own invention. I went out to go get it. Cody already has it at his desk. Cody's probably just eating it.
I have one dedicated just at my desk, just to go.
Yeah,
every day.
We're getting so many good reviews on this. We're gonna sell our first shipment out faster than we had thought. So thanks to everybody who's ordered it at alphaseasoning.com. Alphaseasoning.com is Cody and I's invention. We love it. It's made with all the best ingredients. It's a spice blend that you're going to get, and you're gonna be wanting to use it on everything from your burgers to your steaks to your eggs. I love it on chicken wings, chicken thighs. salmon fillets. It's really is. You can put it on. I put it on my sandwiches and my salads and stuff. It's unbelievable. It's had a great response. alphaseasoning.com. Make sure and go check it out. You can tell that we're very, very proud of it. That's because it's an awesome project. So, or an awesome product, and was a fun project putting it together as well.
Sandwiches.
For the most part, it was fun sampling it. It wasn't fun doing all the business stuff. And anyway, thanks to Man Eye Institute, and make sure and go check us out at alphaseasoning.com. All right, what did Michael Taft say?
Michael Taft was asked about somebody on the roster that's kind of jumped out to him through the spring, and his first name was Grayson Littleton, the freshman DB, nickelback, 5'11" to 175 out of Tampa.
You'd have given me 50 guesses. I probably would have gotten it by guess 50 because I would have been just going through the DBs, but it would have taken me 15 guesses.
He had so many good things to say. I was like trying to video certain stuff and clip it and post it, and I missed videoing him talk about Grayson, but he went on for like 45 seconds about Grayson Littleton and how prepared he was coming into school, how much he's learned, how much he's grown already through the spring and summer. And he's like, you look at the depth chart and it's like, all right, well, he's probably not going to get opportunity to really play on day one because Jelani and Gilbo and stuff. But I mean, it sounds like he's been one of the freshmen that's really come in and grown the most. So that was big, I thought. And just to add to the depth of that the defensive back room, that's absolutely loaded to the gills. He did finish as the 70th ranked player in America in the recruiting class this last cycle through. He's the ninth.
Totally forgotten about Guy. There were people because he wasn't supposed to get in until summer.
He's small. That was the big thing on him.
Right. But he was able to get in the springtime, and people were asking me throughout the spring. They're just like, is Grayson Littleton even out there? And I'm just like, well, I didn't really recognize him out there on the first day. And, we haven't been allowed out there. I can only go on what I'm being told by people. And his name hasn't come up. So interesting to hear the name Grayson Littleton, the true fresh. It's so hard for me to believe that, out of all the DBs there, he's not talking about the Cade Phillipses of the world or something. He's talking about Grayson Littleton.
That's that I did exactly. And the other one that he brought up, which they went to the end, and you know how they are at SEC Media Days or any of these events when they have like a handler. It's not always like, one of the Texas SIDs, but like the SEC has their own designated person to drag the people off of drag the players off the podium. And this specific guy was just trying to pull him off. And this one dude kept asking questions. And he's like, all right, that's the last one. That's the last one. And then finally he's like, all right, he's done. And the final one that he tried to get in was, this is a guy that had showed up late, didn't hear the Grayson Littleton one. And he goes, who's somebody on the roster that people need to be looking for this year? And Taft had like gotten up and like took a step away, but he came back to the mic and he goes, Jelani McDonald, he's a dog.
No, he is a dog, dude. He's a great player. So versatile. I can't wait to just sort of see what, now that he's fully, it's like, I don't think he's going to be moving around. I guess it depends on Derek Williams and his health.
Is he going to be star, or is he going to be next to Taft?
Oh, I want to see him fully deployed at nickel, at star. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see that this year. I want to see the full depth and breadth of his talents and everything that he can do, because he's a guy that from the very beginning, like, the first time I ever saw him, my first exposure to Jelani McDonald was down in San Antonio at the All-American stuff. And by the time the game goes around, I think it was COVID time. Was it? Would that have been COVID? I guess it's still COVID time. I thought for some reason everybody there got sick. Jason got sick. A bunch of players got sick. I don't think it was during the pandemic, but I think it was kind of, during one of those. It was wintertime. It was one of those times where it was like everyone got it, right?
Yeah.
And so by the weekend, I think people had gotten sick, and so like McDonald had to play like outside corner in the game, and he was super sick. You're just like, well, he could play linebacker. He could play this guy at edge. Like he's such a versatile weapon. He's perfect there. So look, I think it all depends on Derek Williams. I think the best version of this defense is Derek Williams, Michael Taft, Jalen Gilbo, Manny Muhammad, and then Jelani McDonald at the star. I mean, to me, that's like, and look, whenever Steve Sarkisian says that this is the deepest and most talented defense that he's had since he's been at Texas, like, the reason why it's not just clearly it has a lot to do with Anthill. It has a lot to do with Colin Simmons and stuff like that. But it also has to do with when you put those names together on the back end. It's like you're starting to feel strong to very strong.